the Thunder sweep the Grizzlies. The Lakers are going to lose in 5, in my opinion. They're down 3-1. Nuggets and Clippers are battling right now 2-2, and then the Warriors take down the Rockets in a thriller to head back to Houston up 3-1. And then we saw Cleveland just absolutely annihilate the Miami Heat in a 4-game series. But the biggest headline of them all is the Bucks lose Dame time toward his Achilles in the last game. The Bucks are in a heat of trouble after giving up a champion and Drew Holiday, and he went straight to the Celtics and won in the same season. So
He
is it
might
time
win
for the
another
Bucks
one
to
this
really
year
start
too.
over?
Yes.
We got a couple graphics
The
we can show as well.
The answer is yes.
There's some
Yes.
playoff looks.
It's time.
It's time.
The problem is that we're going to have to put a gun to Giannis's head to get him to leave. That's the problem. When you talk about loyalty in professional sports, the most perfect idealized example of loyalty to a market is Giannis Antetokounmpo signing 2 massive extensions to stay in Milwaukee over the course of his now 11 years as a Buck, right? Signing 2 massive extensions, and one of them doesn't end for another couple seasons. We're going to have to force him out to make him leave. We're going to have to do it. We're going to have to make a trade against his will to get him to leave. Now, Damian Lillard, he's never going to be the same. The unfortunate reality is Damian Lillard is 35, going on 36 years old, coming off of blood clotting. Lest we forget, he just had life-threatening blood clots in his leg that he just recovered from and made a historic recovery, like something that doctors in modern medicine have never seen before when it comes to recovering from deep vein thrombosis. He makes a historic recovery and then comes back and gives everything he's got. Yeah, maybe he dropped 10 points in one game and 7 in the other. Who cares? His defense made up for that. And then 2 nights ago was it's a horrible, horrible injury to happen to a guy who that he does not deserve that. For as good of a player he is and as good of a guy he is, he came into the Bucks organization, not really wanting to be a Buck. He had a choice between Miami and Milwaukee. Yeah, it wasn't really his choice, but he had the choice between Miami and Milwaukee, and who in their right mind is going to take Milwaukee over Miami, just in terms of city, culture, location, etc. I would have preferred to go to Miami. I don't know about you guys. I'd have preferred to go to Miami. So coming into Milwaukee, not necessarily wanting to, like, this wasn't his ideal situation. Didn't necessarily want to be here, right? Well, that's in terms of like sports talk, but I'm just talking like, where he's relocating to. Didn't really want to be here. Didn't really know too much about the city. Comes in, it's open arms all around, from him and his family to us. Then he has his off the court problems with his divorce, right? He's in divorce court, in and out of that, can't play games, going through the ringer mentally, and like can't really see his kids too much. His wife doesn't want to be in Milwaukee, right? That was terrible for him to try and go through. And then injuries last year, and then injuries this year. His Bucks tenure has been nothing short of a nightmare, but he still gave it his all for this team. It's time to reward him by sending him to where he wants to go. It's that time. Someone will pay the guy. Someone will pay him. Orlando, Miami, Houston, Atlanta, somewhere that he wants to go.
When we get Cooper Flag.
I had a conversation with someone about this yesterday, but Chris, I'll let you speak your piece on this first. But my answer is yes, it's time to rebuild. It's time to blow it up. And it starts with Doc freaking Rivers. I don't care if we have to pay 4 head coaches at one time. Get him out. Send him back to ESPN. Send him back to the media. We do not want him here anymore. When Eric Spoelstra gets let go this offseason and rides off into the sunset out of Miami, he's going to get a one-way ticket to Milwaukee. We're going to make him the highest paid coach in basketball, and that is where the rebuild starts. Chris, I'll let you speak your piece.
Yeah, I gotta get going in a couple minutes. I got class at 11 and a 15-minute walk to get over there. But you know how, Sam, I don't know if you had the same feeling after that Packers-Lions game in 23 where it just felt like, yep, that there was the moment where it's like, yeah, it was a great run. and whatnot, but it's time, and there's not much we could really do about it. My friends and I have talked endlessly about different Giannis destinations through the last few months. There's a few that kind of stick out. Brooklyn
Utah.
has a ton of draft capital. It would make sense in terms of market size. He's very easily marketable in a place like New York City. Giannis is from his perspective. But like you said, I think the hardest part is going to be convincing him that it's time to go, getting him out the door. I don't think, from what I've heard, obviously I don't have any official sources or anything, but it's going to be tough to force him out the door. I don't think he's really the type of guy to request a trade. And even if he did, it would be really quiet and behind the scenes. He's not going to make a huge scene like someone really flamboyant would do, like a LeBron, for example. Giannis is
Yeah, I was
not
just
that
about
type
to
of
say.
guy where he's going to really just make a huge scene about leaving. He's going to do it quietly, have a one-on-one conversation, a heart-to-heart with newly extended GM John Horst, and kind of just put things where they are, and the Bucks will finally be able to begin again, because it feels like they've kind of been treading water, whether that's because of injuries or not the last few years. I think we had our moment the other day where we knew it was kind of over. Obviously, they still have game 5 tonight, so if they salvage that, they could be playing again in Milwaukee in a couple games, but it really just felt like the Bucks are almost, it feels like they're dead on arrival tonight, and there's really not much they can do. Indy's been playing fantastic ball this playoff so far. I got to give them credit. And also I want to give myself some credit for saying, and just the three of us overall, saying that Brook Lopez should not be starting and that fast starts are going to be important against a team like this, because every single game this team has started, even game 3, which they won, they started in a 10-point hole, because for those first 5-6 minutes, all Indy does is pick on Brook. They just get Miles Turner or Pascal Siakam the ball, or get switches to where Brook Lopez is stuck on one of the guards, and they abuse that matchup every single time. They're able to get mismatches like a Kevin Porter Jr. or a Gary Trent against Siakam or Turner, and there's nothing the Bucks can do at that point. It's Rap City, USA. They score easy buckets, and they get up 15-10 in the first 5 minutes every single game, and the Bucks are playing out of a hole, even at home where they're supposed to get the crowd punch right at the start.
Yeah, luckily there will be a new center on this Bucks team next year, regardless of whether or not the team decides to go full scale rebuild. Brook Lopez is done. He's out of there. Right now, I think Bovada Sportsbook has got the Lakers as the favorites to land Brook Lopez next year. And you know what? They can have him. I'll fly him, or I'll drive him to Mitchell International Airport in Milwaukee myself. I will do that myself. No pay. I will just voluntarily drive him there, right? Talking about Giannis destinations, Utah, the Utah Jazz. I think if we're going to talk about how valuable of a player Giannis is, if we want to talk about player value, I think right now we're undervaluing Giannis. He is going to bring back one of the largest trade hauls in NBA history if a move were to be made this offseason. He is playing the best basketball of his career, doing things we've never seen ever, and no one's talking about it. He is in league circles. He is still one of the best players in basketball right now, if not the best player in basketball. Yeah, I give the edge to Jokic, and I think Shea's up there too. But Giannis is for sure. You can make the case that he's one of the 3 best players in basketball right now. The Utah Jazz are more than likely going to land the first overall pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something we can agree upon, you and me, Jalen, that the Jazz are going to more than likely land the first overall pick. There's a lot of salaries
We pray.
on that Jazz roster that you're not going to want if and when you draft Cooper Flag. You're not going to want a John Collins salary. You're not going to want a Larry Marketing salary.
Yeah, Lowry would be definitely gone if you give up Giannis.
You're not going to want those salaries on your team. So what do? You move some of those guys to bring in the Giannis salary. And you add picks to make it worthwhile for the Bucks to make a move. Larry Markkinen, $46 million next year. John Collins, 26. Colin Sexton, 20. Jordan Clarkson, 14. Now, I'm not saying all of those guys will go back in a trade. I think one or two more than likely will, and I think it's going to be John Collins for sure. Maybe it's going to be one of John Collins or Lauri Markkanen, and then one of Colin Sexton or Jordan Clarkson.
Probably Jordan.
A combination of those guys will go back to the Bucks in a trade for Giannis, and then give me all the picks you got. Give me all of them. There might even be more guys going to the Bucks. If the Bucks can get Kyle Kuzma off the book somehow, if they can somehow get him off the book, do it. And then you can add another guy from the Jazz in a trade like that. Right? There's a lot of things that there's a lot of things that would have to be worked on, but I think the Jazz make the most sense for a Giannis trade. And I'll stand by that. I think they make the most sense, especially looking at 26-27, where there's a lot of expiring contracts, and that'll be around the time that Giannis would want to sign another extension. If the Jazz can prove that they're going to build around him and build a contender, that you're not just getting Giannis for the next 2 or possibly 3 seasons. You're getting him for like 8. You're going to get him past the 2030 season and into the later years of his career. You're going to get him through the rest of, or maybe even most of his prime. He's 30 years old right now. He's only 30. It's insane the stuff he's doing at 30 years old.
That would also depend on where the Jazz pick this year as well, because, nothing's guaranteed, especially in the lottery. But in the Jazz history of trying to get the number 1 pick has been pretty bad. But I will say that if they do land the number 1 pick, you obviously take that pick and, you give them whatever picks you have left. Or not all of them, but, just to make, to make the deal go through.
A crap ton of picks.
Yeah, it'd be like 4 or 5 years of worth of picks. But I would say if the Jazz don't get the number 1 pick, say they get number 2, you trade that pick. That way the value of having to spend all of your picks for the near future would go down, because the worthy of the number 2 pick would be high enough to, warrant, you give them Collins, you give them Clarkson, and then you give them three picks, including, and then you'll give them this one. So that's 4 picks. So it all depends on where you get. It depends on where you are in the draft as well. That'd be a pretty good deal, I would say. Taking a look at the playoff bracket real quick. This is what we have. We got the Thunder and the Cavs, and the 2 number 1 seeds already gone through. They both swept. It's actually insane and crazy to think about, because they're looking like they're going to be on a collision course. Obviously, you got the Celtics there, but really, you got to look in the West. Like, is there really a team that can really match up well with the Thunder? I believe the Nuggets can, but will they beat the Clippers is the question. The Warriors obviously don't match up really well with the Thunder. I mean, the Thunder are 10 times bigger, and they're younger as well. So I don't think this year would be the Warriors' year, but the surprise about the entire playoffs, obviously, is the Timberwolves over the Lakers 3-1. Like, a lot of people would be screaming, "Oh my goodness!" LeBron would have easily won that series. I didn't. We remember we was on this show saying the Timberwolves will win that series.
Yeah, I don't even know if I want to call it a surprise.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I want to call it a surprise, simply because the Timberwolves are still such a great basketball team. Like, going into this year, I would have considered the Timberwolves a fit as one of the top 4 teams in the West. And yeah, they fell to 6, but realistically speaking, they're the 6th seed and they're only a game behind the Lakers. In no way is this series an upset. This is just utter dominance, really, from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, looking at that second half the other night on Game 4, you lose by 13 in the third, you win by 13 in the fourth. That was quite the back and forth half, but I don't even know if I would call this an upset still. I think the Timberwolves have been dominant in this series. Julius Randle dropping 25 the other night. Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards. I think, honestly, when I was at the draft, we were watching on one of the side TVs. It was at a bar called The Bar, right? It was really legitimately called The Bar. And we were at the bar. They had the big screen up with the draft. We were watching the latter half of the third round. We went and watched all the second and part of the third, then went to the spot to watch the other half of the third. So we can catch the Bucks game too, right? On other TVs, They had Magic Celtics, who the Magic got to win. I'll take my wins where I can, right? I liked the Magic against the Celtics. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but they got to win, right? Going into this spot, we watched that game, and then we were watching the Bucks Pacers, and then Lakers Timberwolves comes on, and all I see whenever I look at that screen is Anthony Edwards just taking control of that game. And in 44 minutes, he had 43 points, 14 of 17 from the line, 50% from three, over 50% shooting overall on the night, 9 boards, 6 assists. Anthony Edwards, in my mind, when it's all said and done, he might be a top 5 player of all time in the end of his career. He is an unbelievable basketball player. This guy, and he's only going to get better too. He's only going to get better. I think Anthony Edwards, simply because there's still a little bit of a power dynamic struggle between Luka and LeBron. Like it's not evident, and it's not like they're like jawing at each other. It's just you can see that the chemistry just isn't quite there between the two of them. And compared to the rest of the roster, there's just not a lot of chemistry there with the Lakers to where I could see them coming back from down 3-1. The Timberwolves are going to run away with that series, and I think the Timberwolves match up the best with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
If we get a Timberwolves Thunder conference finals, I think there's merit to saying the Timberwolves could win that. It'll go to 6 or 7 either way, but I think there's merit to suggesting that the Timberwolves would win that series.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be very interesting. I mean, how about 5 out of the 8 series are all 3-1?
And it's funny because a lot of people were kind of talking down on Adam Silver and the rest of the league execs for saying this is going to be a great playoffs. Like, this is actually such a very well matched up playoffs, and everyone's crapping on it because 5 series are at 3-1 and there were 2 sweeps. That doesn't mean they weren't great games. Like,
right.
Take away the 1 versus 8s, right? Forget OKC, forget Cleveland. Those series we expected that. These have all been close games. They've all been entertaining games. Regardless of being 3-1, I think the Celtics Magic one has been a little bit more of a blowout too. Granted, the Magic won the game, but these games have all been close. Even the Bucks Pacers series, where they've started in a hole. The Bucks have started in a hole in all 4 games of the series so far. Disregard that and look at how the Bucks have come back in 3 of the 4 games. In one of the games, they got the tar beat out of them, whatever. In game 2, they were only down 2 at one point. And they win game 3. And then game 4, obviously, is the disaster class where Damian Lillard tears his Achilles. The team doesn't know how to react. You could just feel the sense of defeat that everyone on that Bucks bench had the second that Dame went down and was just sitting there by his lonesome, right? You could feel the defeat in the air. But those games have still been close. They've been competitive. I think every playoff game so far, outside of the 1 versus 8s, there's been a great sense of competition. They've been close at times. They've been entertaining watches, and that's exactly what the league knows it wants and needs, considering we've been talking about it for the last few months here. The NBA is a dying professional sport. It is dying. It's not dead. It's not close to dead, but it's dying. It is slowly but surely going downhill to the point where in the next couple decades, the NBA could possibly cease to exist. This playoffs is exactly what the NBA needed. They needed great competition. They needed great first-round matchups. Yeah, the series are 3-1. Who cares? They've all been great competitive games that everyone wants to watch. That's what the NBA needs the most. Is they need fans to want to watch these matchups, and that's exactly what they're getting right now. This playoffs has been so entertaining, even for a guy like me, who this is the least I've watched the NBA in a single season of my life, right? Ever since I started following the Bucks, following the NBA, this year, 24-25, is the least I've ever watched the NBA in a single season, and I'm excited to watch the playoffs. I'm actually very excited to continue watching the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be something. I mean, you got, 4 games tonight. You got the Bucks and Pacers at 6.
I'm going to watch that one.
Pistons Knicks has actually probably been the most physical series that I've seen this season.
Yes, good. That's what it needs. That's what the sport needs.
Yeah, and it's just something different about 90s basketball, right? You physicality. You're battling, you're fighting. You're scratching, and you're fouling hard fouls. And when you hit a big shot down the stretch, you saw Cat, celebrating like heroically, like he was prime Jordan, like he was feeling the adrenaline. Like that's what we was missing in basketball. We're not talking about, oh my gosh, they're soft, or they're not calling enough foul. They're calling too
Or,
many
oh,
fouls.
look,
No,
another 45-point game.
right?
Woohoo.
Like
Like we've seen that 25 times this year.
we need the physicality. We need the the hard fouls. You get to the lane, and it's a hard foul, but it's a no call. So you come back and you hard foul them. No call. Now you're going back on the other end. That's where basketball was, the peak.
It's the Roman Coliseum, the Roman gladiator mentality that we need back in the sport. Now, I'm not saying turn it into tackle football.
Oh,
but what I
no.
am saying is that
Street ball
let the kids play. Let them go back to the MLB campaign back in 2018, 2019. Let the kids play, man. This is a kid's sport. This is a kid's game that everyone's playing professionally, right? It's a kid's game. You should still be able to enjoy the game and still be able to compete and do what it takes to win, not just play the sport for what it's turned into, which is just a chuck fest every single game, right? The regular season, I think the regular seasons are still going to continue being like chuck fests, but if the playoffs can continue to be this competitive and this physical, this demanding, keep it up. Eventually the regular season will turn around too. Maybe it takes shortening the regular season. Who knows? But because I think the basketball offseason is the quickest turnaround in professional sports.
Oh, yeah.
It's the quickest turnaround. It almost feels like it's one continuous season. It almost feels like the season never ends. Like once you get 2 days after the finals ends, you get the NBA draft. Literally 2 days after the finals is done, the draft begins. The draft opens, 2 rounds, done. Then Summer League starts 3 weeks after that already. It doesn't even feel like you have any sort of continuity. Or no, it almost feels like there's too much continuity is what I was trying to say. There's never any break, especially for the young guys. There's never any break. You're just hooping every day. Now, granted, do you want to do that? Sure. But is it great for you? No. It's not great for the professional sport either. It's good for the sport of basketball, but not for the professional sport of the NBA. So shortening the season, lengthening the off season, or just less off days might be more beneficial for this physicality element that we're starting to see really unleash itself again in the playoffs. We might start seeing that in the regular season. Regular season games will mean more, right? So if the NBA wants to not die, look at what's going right in the playoffs and make it happen in the regular season. Let them be physical. Let them play basketball. And you're going to see stuff blossom again. You're going to see the NBA turn into the favorite professional sport in America pretty soon. Will it overtake the NFL? No, the NFL is in a league of its own. The NFL will always be in a league of its own. But the NBA will become everyone's favorite sport again.
Yeah. We got the Magic and Celtics tonight, the Clippers and Nuggets as well.